All right. Good morning. Glad to be here. Great day. It's sun shining in Pensacola, Florida, and you can go through the roundabout now at 17th. So been through it twice now. So came through this morning. All good. Goes really good going from 17th to Bayfront. Has its own little lane. You just go right through. It's awesome. So exciting to see that up and moving forward. Look forward to getting the rest of the bridge done. But a big event over the weekend. I went to church on early Sunday morning and saw the lane was open on 17th. And while I was in church, I got a text from DOT saying they had opened it. I said, I know, I already came down. I saw the thing, so it must be open. So on our way home, we went through, made from Bayfront to 17th around the circle. It's really pretty easy. So we'll see how it goes. It should keep everybody moving a lot better, and it's exciting to finally have the access back open, and I know it will make traffic patterns a lot better all through the city. So excited to see that happen. Excited to see this weekend that UWF pulled out a victory, so we had another home game here downtown, so it was nice. Looking forward to that Valdosta one. It becomes much more important as we move forward, and hopefully they can claim the conference championship and get a win there. So we'll be looking forward to that game in November. Last week we had a town hall meeting. It went very well over at, we had one I think over at Woodland Heights. I think we'll shoot to have another one after the holiday season, probably at Vickery, and we'll try to pull something together and go there. So I think we'll have a couple more on the quarters, and it's just good to get back out, see people, talk to people about what's going on in the community and the services we're providing. So I thought it was a very good meeting. I appreciated Councilwoman Broughton being there. She did an excellent job. Also, it was great to see former Councilman John Gerald's there, who participates on the on our redistricting commission. So that was also really good to see. But a couple of things going on this week. Obviously, we have a city council meeting, but in addition to that, we've got city survey. Showed the employee satisfaction and engagement. City of Pensacola has conducted its third annual employee engagement satisfaction survey, which showed that 73% of the employees are satisfied to work for the city, and more than half of them are highly engaged in their work. This has been a principle we've been brought in here and certainly believe what we need to do. We provide services every day. That's what we do. We need people positively engaged. If they do that, they do a better job, and I see that throughout it when I go work with them. In fact, I hope to soon start back my monthly going out and visiting all the different departments and spending a day working with different departments. But when I do that, I see employees engaged actively in what they do and making a better community for our citizens. The survey gathered valuable feedback from staff and identified areas for improvement so that we can the City of Pensacola and residents. Some of the highlights include the City of Pensacola ranks in the 65th percentile when compared to similar organizations nationwide. This is an increase of 7 percentile points from 2020. And again, we are the only public organization in this. So we're now it's the 65th percentile. So again, we're continuing to see improvement as we go up against private sector companies. 73% of the employees are satisfied, which is a 1% increase from 2020. 59% of the employees are highly engaged in their work, which is a 3% increase from 2020. We'll be sharing more information, press release today, so stay tuned. FDOT, 17th Avenue, as we talked about before. So we hope you are using that safely and see the things, how to use it. I think it's really pretty easy. Once you get there, all you do is you come into the circle, you look to your left. If there's no one coming, you can enter the circle. You then have the right of way until you get to where you need to go, and then exit. All the ways that are there, again, it'll be a little bit easier getting onto the bridge. You have a little bit more lead time when they finish the new bridge, but everything else is pretty much set. And the other thing that hasn't come in yet, there is a dedicated site from 17th from the bridge coming north to turning on the 17th. That's not in yet, but when it gets in, it'll continue to function much better. But again, excited to see what's happening with the bridge. I think with 17th, it'll be much easier for traffic to get in and out of that area, much less congested. Like I said, I've gone through it twice and had no problems. City council meetings, obviously today, we'll have a gender review conference here in this room. We'll have a council meeting on the 28th, and we'll have a special meeting for the Homeless Reduction Task Force. Their committee will meet on Friday at 10:30. I was thinking it was Wednesday, Friday. Okay, so they're Friday at 10:30. This meeting agenda will include discussion on the ARPA funding proposals and final recommendations from the Homeless Reduction Task Force to Pensacola City Council. So again, I think that's probably the most significant thing. There were a few items. We had hoped to do food trucks on this one. There was a little mishap in the clerks in the council office that we didn't get it advertised, so we will have it advertised for November 18th. We've got a couple other things that have sort of, obviously, we'd hoped possibly to have the homeless, but they'll be meeting. The homeless reduction will be meeting this week, so that'll also be November. We also got something in today from the person who put in on the Balin slip. They also won't have their plans fully done until next week, so they will also be slipping back to the 18th. So hopefully it should be a fairly easy meeting, and it should be quick and mostly administrative. So we'll see what happens today, and then on Thursday. City Sanitation now offering premium service to residents. Again, this is a new offering, premium collection service to customers for an additional $20 a month, which will include retrieval of recycling garbage carts to residents' desired location, returning carts to their original location. City of Pensacola Sanitation customers can request premium collection service 3 ways: by either the Recycle Coach app, Pensacola 311, or by calling Sanitation Services at 850-435-1890. As a reminder, the City of Pensacola Sanitation offers garbage and recycling backdoor service at no charge for eligible customers with disabilities. For more information or to request the service, please complete the form at cityofpensacola.com and return it to Sanitation Services. There's another cleanup this weekend. This will be the last one of 2021. This will be October 30th, this Saturday, for a portion of Scenic Heights neighborhood and east side of Spanish Trail area. The neighborhood cleanup allows City of Pensacola Sanitation customers to clean up an area to leave eligible items at the curb for pickup free of charge. Please visit City of Pensacola to check cleanup map and confirm whether you are in this month's area. Escambia County launches an emergency rental assistance program. Renters in Escambia County who require assistance with overdue rent and utility payments due to COVID-19 can apply for emergency rental assistance through the Escambia County Emergency Rental Program. This program is also open to City of Pensacola residents, as we are all members of the county. The application portal opened last Monday at on October 18th. Please call 850-403-6044 to make an appointment for an in-person assistance. Emergency rental assistance may be provided to eligible low-income Escambia County residents and families who have been impacted by COVID-19, have household income at 80% of the median income, are at risk of experiencing homelessness or housing instability, and have not received any rental assistance for requested months. So to learn more and how to apply, visit myescambia.com, ERAP. So we highly encourage you to take advantage of that, and we're seeking ways to, again, prevent people from becoming further in homelessness. So again, that's certainly part of one of our things to encourage and keep people in their homes. So we hope you will apply to that. COVID-19, lastly, the good news is our positivity rate has slipped below 5% to 4.9%. I think this is somewhere, again, this is what we were experiencing through the spring into early summer. If we're at those kind of levels, we're going to stabilize in things that we need to be at. And so it was good to see the positivity rate go down. Hospitalizations, Friday went to 48, Saturday 47, Sunday 44, and Monday 45. So again, we are below 50 in hospitalizations that we thought we would be getting to. Really, the hospitals began feeling comfortable once we got below 100. But again, we see what is already beginning to happen there from what we're seeing, a downturn. So we've certainly been working as many things as we could to get back open and try to be as open as we can. But obviously we understand what is continuing. COVID is not going away, so we still highly encourage you to look at vaccination if you haven't done that. We ourselves at the City of Pensacola are approaching our 70%. We have an incentive program that encourages that. It will go into November, but we highly encourage our employees. We highly encourage other people to get vaccinated. COVID is not leaving and going away, but we certainly hope its impacts are less severe, and that's what we're seeing at this point. We did participate in a phone call with the area hospitals last week and Escambia County Emergency. I think it's much of the time that we spent was on discussing ways to be ready for the next wave and be watching for the next wave. At this point, nobody said there was anything that they saw significant across the world that would be of significance that we needed to be thinking about at this time. So we continue to look at that. We have better plans to flex up with things like monoclonal and other stuff if we need to, different ways to do it. And the hospitals are, again, continuing to feel more comfortable. They obviously don't want to get to where we were with Delta, but I do think we're learning more and more understanding about what's going on with COVID as we experience it more. So from those angles, I think things are better. But again, it's not totally going away. If you haven't gotten your vaccine, we certainly highly encourage you to do so. And again, if you have a vaccine that requires a booster, we encourage you to get that as well. That's where we are with COVID. There are a couple things that did happen last week that were somewhat significant that I thought that needed to be brought and have a discussion. Do we have the photos? Okay, if we could get those up there. If we get those up there, I was a little bit surprised, but I was happy to explain. John, when you asked last week, I didn't realize we were about to get into a firestorm. We've gone multiple times. If you remember, we even told you back at the time what we had. We went to when we were doing the skate park. We told you we went to the county. We had a discussion. The county was not interested in participating in the skate park, but there was an opportunity for us to find a way to work with the county on a recreation amenity, which was Roger Scott. Roger Scott was approved in 2015 for it to be $1.3 million was appropriated for the job. Obviously, the things that we would like to do are fairly significant. It's going to cost more in the realm of $2.6 million. But one of the problems is we are spending a significant amount of money correcting what's behind me. These are the conditions of the courts. You can patch them, but the patches, the more you patch, the less the quicker it goes. The quicker it goes, the more you spend more money patching. I had a number of people this weekend that contacted me about falls they had taken, broken arms, broken other stuff. Like I said before, we're not able to do things. Wheelchairs becoming unable to work when we have the conditions of the courts the way they are. But not to mention, it should just be something that we do because of the ongoing expense of continuing to patch that does nothing to get us to what we finally want to get to. And it's costing us significant money. But in all that, we're going to be able to do everything we needed to do to the courts without any additional money from the council. I've gone to the county, and they are very supportive. This is the only place where we have courts in the county where we have other amenities that are publicly owned. We have a number of different private clubs that have stuff. We have the military. We have UWF. But again, as far as a public amenity spot, Roger Scott is the only one. I had somebody who wrote me about Bayview. I said, yeah, I love playing at Bayview. I played there when it was clay courts when I was a kid. It's now hard courts, but there are no restrooms there. And again, the gentleman was wanting us to go build restrooms. That would be a fairly significant cost. There are some down the way at the community center you can go down to and use those. But the only one that has a center that's set up for usage is Roger Scott. And again, I didn't make that decision. This council didn't make that decision. It was made 50 years ago by the council and mayor back in 1970, and pretty good wisdom. Tennis is one of the sports, when we look at, especially when you think about what's going on with COVID, It's an outdoor sport that you can get out there, and it's the best part is it's probably of all the sports that we have, it's more significantly dispersed across age. In other words, I don't think you see nearly people over 50 doing or over 40 playing any other sport as much as they play tennis. The other thing is it's gender equity. You see it almost 50% between men and women. We have a very strong ladies league. We have a men's league as well. We have an over 55 league. We have a number of different things going on there. And the irony of all this stuff is the money that Congress, and I'll remind you, because there are a few people that went to speak about it, that this was a Democratic Congress and a Democratic president, and they both said, you know what we need to do? We need to get more outdoor recreation opportunities. And we included that as a usable expense in ARPA, which I think the county was very wise. They're looking at a couple of things, their own stuff. They also said, hey, rather than us go building a tennis center, why don't we continue to partner with the city, help retrofit and get this one up to speed, what we need, and make it a great facility. So we've been able to do all that, but unfortunately, we had some members of the council just can't seem to. They want to be the mayor and show up and pitch another idea, which again, the council hasn't done one way or the other. The problem is they show up to pitch an idea, which is exactly what you don't want with COVID. I mean, very significant. What have we done throughout COVID, Andrew? I mean, we've closed our community centers. We've had to shut them down. We can't open a community center because we're going to spread COVID all over the place. So, you know, just not exactly what this money was intended for. Not a good use of our funding. And again, it shocked me. It shocked me in some ways to think that people would not realize and understand and how serious the situation is. But it didn't shock me in some ways because, again, COVID has continued to show us that people continue to get more and more selfish. You know, just going to find something to spend in District 2, who knows? In a few short months, District 2 will look extremely different than it looks today. So if you're just trying to put arbitrary things and arbitrary lines, it makes no sense. What we should be doing at the city every single day is improving all of our amenities so that they become great amenities to attract people for a variety and diversity of different things. We have a golf course that's very, very good, not even in the city of Pensacola. But again, we take care of that. It addresses a segment of our population who plays golf in a public way. It's one of the only places that has it. We have the same thing with the tennis court, and it does that. We've gone and added new things, rowing. In fact, we had I wanted to at least call out Paul Pipes for the work that they did on the Ore Fest, and again, shows what we can do. But we spent a significant amount of money doing that and opening things up to the waterfront. The whole idea of what we're doing at the City of Pensacola is to create diversity of opportunities and activities and amenities so that people want to come to this community. When they come to this community and we get talent at this community, it attracts businesses. All those things work in connection to each other, and that is what we're trying to achieve here in what we do. So again, I think we've got to continue to keep focused on that. We shouldn't be just focused on simply what happens in a district. We should be focused on the city of Pensacola. We made a commitment that we were going to be, every area of our community was going to see success. Every different age group, every different neighborhood, every different segment of what we do in amenities. We're going to be diverse in what we do to create the best kind of community that encourages citizen improvement, but employee engagement. Just like we said before, we've continued to improve in all those things, and we're going to continue to push in that direction. That's what we need to do. If we're going to build the kind of community we all want to live in, and it's showing, more people are coming here. In fact, our MSA, we are now over 500,000. We're the 110th largest MSA in the country, and if you combined us, one of the things I wanted to talk to Mayor Stimson over in Mobile, if you combined us with Mobile, which we are really a combined MSA, we share the same radio, TV markets, we share much of the same thing, we would actually be the 51st largest combined MSA in the United States, which is fairly significant in showing people regions where they can find places to live, talented people, and opportunities. And that's what we've been pitching for a long time on the Northern Gulf Coast, what we can be. So again, I think if we stay focused on delivering those services and what we're doing, we'll be more effective in creating a better Pensacola, and that's what we're going to continue to try to do. Again, I feel very good in getting money from outside the city to work and partner with the county. There's no reason we have no county tennis courts, and for them to start that process would be a whole lot more than $1.3 million. So again, I think finding the city and the county working together to create a real place for an amenity of that type is the right thing to do. Most, like I said, most of our users are in the city, but we have a significant amount of users in the county. They now will be able to pay the exact same thing through the county investment. They'll have the same fees as city residents have. So again, that's what we have going forward. I never thought such an innocent question would get us into such a direction, but John, that's what we're trying to do. I think if you see behind us, you see the condition that we're dealing with, and we have had challenges. We can't do a lot of things out there that we should be able to do. But happy to answer your question.
Mayor, I thought initially this was a good news story. I didn't realize that there was a lot of confusion in the public among the non-tennis players. There seems to be a lot of confusion about the rate structure. And I think there's a dual rate structure over there now, not county versus city, but having to do with the clay courts versus the hard courts.
There are two. I mean, certainly.
Would you give us a sort of a history? I know
Yeah.
that you put money from the county 5 or 6 years ago. Would you give the public sort of a history of where the rates are and how they got that way?
I'll be happy to do. I don't have the exact rates in front of me, so I don't know what those are specifically, but I do know the tiered system that we have. And I think the confusion is very much because some people choose to focus on politics, and they intentionally create confusion because it drives a political end, not an actual end. And I think that's where the confusion is. I mean, there are people who profit off confusion, and unfortunately, at our day and age, whether it's federal, state, or local, it was a day when this was only at federal and the state, but it certainly has penetrated into the local, and it's unfortunate. We have two different systems for two different courts. The clay courts do cost more to operate, but they cost less to actually put in. And so the upfront cost is less, but the maintenance cost is a little bit more. So there is a tiered system where it's going to be slightly more than the hard courts. However, at the clay court rate, the county rate and the city rate are the exact same. Because of the money I put in there, and I asked for that as a county commissioner. I said, okay, if we're going to do clay courts, then the money, the fee you're charging needs to be the exact same. The hard courts have continued to be just as they were for 50 years. There is a difference between city resident fee and all non-city resident fee. There's now going to eventually go to a county fee, which will be city residents and county residents will pay the exact same. We still have some of our participants are not in Escambia County. We have people come over from Santa Rosa County. They play in either the ladies' league, they play in the men's leagues, so they continue to be sponsors. Like I said before, I mean, it really is most all the teams are played at Roger Scott, and the way it's organized and everything else. You can't have these things if you have a place that doesn't have somebody who's taking care of schedules, taking care of figuring out how it's going. That's why it's important to have a truly operated facility so that you can have all these things that we have. So again, right now there is a difference between what city residents pay and county and Santa Rosa residents pay. Going forward in the future, it'll be all Escambia County residents will pay the same thing. There will still be a difference if you wish to get an overall membership for clay and hard court, you can do that, and it will be a certain rate. But if you just want to get hard court only, it is going to be less than having that clay court option. I believe the clay court option gives you the right to also play on the hard courts as well. So that's kind of where we are at this point in our membership. But more significantly than not, I mean, for us, it's one way or the other that we're doing it. What I think is much more important is creating an amenity that you can actually physically play on. I think that's the importance of it. The other thing is that Roger Scott, it does not cost us any more in the operations. We do not pay additional in the operations. We have a very similar situation at Osceola. We've been paying money every year. Now, the last couple of years have been good for Osceola. Osceola was one thing that did well in the pandemic. So, but it's still, we're still showing up in the red. We don't show up in the red at tennis. But it really doesn't matter whether we do or not. We're committed to both sports. Like I said before, these are sports that you can play at any age. And I think when you look at our community and our aging population and the effects of what COVID has taken on, why wouldn't we want to care about our elderly citizens and having an experience that they can get out and exercise and be good for their health and everything else. The longevity, I'm like you. I don't see how this is a win-win-win all the way around, and only some people want to make it a lose because they have other directives than making a better community. They have personal directives they want to do.
Did the county commissioners agree to fund this last Thursday?
They moved it forward. They haven't had a final. Everything will have to go on its own. But I think. But it was interesting. I mean, even Doug Underhill voted against it. Said if it comes forward just as its own item, I would vote for it. He agreed. He said I think this is a case of the county shouldn't go out. It would cost us a lot more to build our own tennis facility, and why would we do that when we could partner with you? And I mean, it's a win-win. So I think they're there. I think there's some issues that play in the mix of how this gets done. I think a couple of commissioners vocalized from the dais that they'd like to see some TDT money, which is the tourist development tax money. I think there's some things that can happen. I hope to get in touch with Darian and see what we can do. I think there are some things we can make work to make all that happen. So I'm excited going forward, but I'm disappointed at some of the actions that we had and what are there, and again, just not even realizing what they're doing. I mean, it very clearly what's in ARPA is to be able to do outside recreational activity, outside, because one of the things what we've seen about COVID is how important it is. The city of Pensacola never closed any of its parks or anything else during COVID. We felt like it was important. We kept the beach. If you remember, I remember getting emails in April of 2020 talking about how terrible I was allowing people to congregate down on the bluffs because everybody was going to get COVID. Well, that didn't exactly happen. But what was important is we had people that were able to get outside and do things. The beach was closed down. We didn't know what was going to happen. I certainly, as I stood from here, I said, listen, the reason you close Pensacola Beach and the other actual beaches is because people are coming from outside our area. And at the time, we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know how this transmitted. We didn't really know much about COVID at all. But the one thing we knew is that if people began moving everywhere, they were going to do. The one thing we did know is nobody was coming from outside the area to go to the Bay Bluffs. I mean, yes, people from Pensacola were going there, but we're already in supermarkets. We were already seeing each other. We were already doing everything together. It really did not change our exposure. But I got a lot of grief on that. It was the right decision to do. I stand by it. We kept all of our parks open because we believed what needed to happen. Now, again, we did have things shut down briefly for those first 2 months, but since then we've never shut down tennis courts since that standpoint. Tennis has remained open. It's been a great activity. Again, it's probably you won't find one that has a better mix of ages, a better mix of gender, and we think it serves a great purpose in doing that. Any other questions?
Talk about that premium trash service. Was that just basically where they grab your can for you?
They will.
Okay.
They will. Again, I'm kind of wondering though. If you're in Cordova Park, it's a pretty short way down there. If you get one of these houses in East Hill, I'm wondering how long you got to pull the can down to the street.
No matter what.
Yeah, that's what it says. So I guess we'll see what happens. I think it's a chance of what John Pittman has wanted to do to create some of these things. And John came in here, wanted to go to, said one trash pickup that we do. We were picking up recycling one day and garbage the other day, and he said, this doesn't make sense. We need to keep our trucks in a better way. The first time I announced it, people went crazy. They were very upset. But at the end, John was right, and it's the way ECUA does for the county. It's a more effective way for you to handle your equipment and your resources. So we did it. John's come up with another idea. My whole goal is to find ways to let them apply good ideas and see what happens. We may not have a whole lot of takers. We just don't know. We don't know whether it's something people want or not. But I was willing with John to let him try his idea. I think what you've seen here is very much a management plan. If you talk to any of our employees, we've been fairly open to them finding solutions to help us. And we've tried things out. Not everything has worked, but I think you're going to find us an ability to try things out and experiment. So, overall, I think that helps make us better. We find things that were not working and we tweak them. But I think if you ask the employees, they would tell you this is a good fostering environment that allows them to bring ideas forward, and we support them in trying to find ways to make it work. Jeremy.
Can you talk a minute about council's workshop today regarding gentrification and just, where you might identify gentrification hotspots and costs?
I think the workshop was canceled.
Oh, yeah.
Workshop is, but I will be happy to speak to that on one thing, Jeremy. I think if you look at it and you listen to people, the biggest significant factor of gentrification is cost. How do we find a way to deal with cost? And so I think when you look at what the city's been doing and what we've done in housing with Marcy, we're very much focused on how do we create affordability. That is a little bit of a challenge, but we've got a number of different initiatives. We brought a new person on. They're pushing some things, and we hope to see very shortly some of those things coming to fruition. There's no doubt the construction, just the amount of construction going on and the challenges with challenges in supply on materials have made things more expensive. But I think you're going to see the council continue to look at what they can do to make improvements. One of which is a tweaking. I saw Councilman Wiggins in here, and I know he's supportive of many of the things that are in the CRA overlay and helping to improve and keep the natural, characteristics of an area the same, because he has a large part of West Side. But he's also critically understands that some of those things do nothing to create value, but create expense. And I think he's trying to work to make that, let's take out what the expense. And again, until you try something, you don't know what happens. But I think that's a chance where we have in the overlay to still provide the characteristics of what we wanted to create, but look at some of the challenges that happen with price. I think the biggest thing happening with gentrification is price. I think that's what is price and cost. And so I think from our standpoint, it's how do we try to work and keep things still affordable. And affordable is always a challenge. You make a community that people want to be in. That's what we've been wanting to do. So it's just a case of we got to be focused on affordability as well. I think some of the things that we're trying to do, I think one of the things that I'm most excited about is I really think that's what I see as a chance with the Lotus to do, is try to address some affordability issues, some things that aren't perhaps taken full advantage of. And if we could find more of those affordability, we could be better at also not only finding ways to house more homeless individuals and bring them into housing, but also keep a better income mix. And I think mixed income is the best thing you can do. We see that it's the most successful neighborhoods, a variety of other things where you see mixed income, it can work. The problem is if you cluster either poverty or wealth, you generally you create these inequities. So I think we're very much trying to create a situation that sees more mixed income balance in the city, and I think that's one of our biggest challenges, but I think we're very focused on that.
But when you talk about creating this place where people want to come, like downtown, for instance, has become more popular, so it's by definition not just cost or supply issues at any given, market moment, but just in general things get more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And so, beyond talking about homelessness or even affordable housing, how do you protect, historical communities like the Tanyards or Belmont DeVillers, that the prices are naturally going to increase? So how do you insulate that from gentrification? Well,
I think the idea of gentrification is having people leave the area, and what you're saying. So I'm not afraid of new product, especially new product on vacant land. I mean, that doesn't dislocate anybody. If it was vacant, it simply adds more people to the possibility. So I think I think you have opportunities to create and take back some vacant land. I think our challenge is do we let all that happen at market rate, or do we find some of that and turn away to figure out how to do affordable housing? Very much on those properties within the city that have escheated to the county for a variety of different reasons. They don't escheat to the city, even though they're in the city jurisdiction, they escheat to the county. So when those properties go to them for somebody not paying taxes or some other reason, we want to work with the county and figure out how to get those back into affordable housing. And I think we can do it. I think we've done it on a small scale, ones and twos. What we've got to figure out how to do is to do it on a larger scale. And then we've got to continue to work with our apartment providers and figuring out how to provide better mixed income. Again, I do think part of this, if you have the right, what got me excited about Lotus is if you give the landlord the incentive to feel like they're not going to have a downside, then they're willing to open up more units that would be mixed income. And I think that creates a better atmosphere for them and the product they create, and it creates a better neighborhood for us. So I think that's the way you battle it. I mean, you try to figure out and address affordability as best as you can. But if this is something everybody's struggling with right now, and I think we're trying to take things that I've learned in other communities and how to apply those. And I think if we can do that, we can be successful at it as well. It's a new challenge. We for a long time we didn't have to worry about this because nobody wanted to come here. But now we've created we created a community where we worked real hard. People want to come at. Now I think if we work real hard at creating a community that really can achieve mixed income, I think we'll be successful.
Mayor?
Yes.
Is the city now on the 60-day clock with Inspired Communities?
We are. We have. I met last week with Andrew. I think he was getting them to submit something to us. I don't know where we are at this point. I saw Andrew last week. He said he was looking to have something fairly quickly from them. So as soon as we get that, we'll try to sit down with them and respond and see where we can go and put something together. Our goal, I think, would be to try to bring something to council in December. If I could meet that December meeting, there's a possibility it could slip to the first, just because of the way the holidays go. It could slip to the first meeting in January, but that's our goal and what we hope to get there. So I think some of it is just just depends on how solid they are when they respond back to us. If they have everything that they have ready to go and submitted, it'll be easier. If they got to do some more work, it may not make the deadlines for the December meeting, because that's going to be almost the 1st of December. If they finish their stuff up probably mid-December, then it could go to January. But that's my goal, is to have it. My goal would love to have it in December, but if it could slip to January. We'll see what happens. But that's where we are right now. We are reaching out with them, and we'd love to find a way to, again, to build more housing. I think so much of it, how do you create more housing? And I don't care at any level of the housing, it's going to be important. I think there is a misconception. I don't think we want to create, and I saw a council member put something up about stuff with condominiums. These are not going to be fee simple ownership. These are going to be apartments. I think if you look at Southtown, it's not like you have, those are market driven. So is there a lot of low income? No, there's not. But I don't see any super wealthy there. Where I see the super wealthy is when they have their own condominium, when those places that are like the Admiral's Row and the other things that are along the waterfront right there. That's not what this is going to be. This is going to be apartments. The idea is to create that opportunity, and I think that's what we're trying to achieve. But again, at all levels, we need to be building more houses, whether it's apartments, whether it's single-family standalone housing. Housing is most critical. I mean, even when Mike Kimbrell came in here, he said, more housing, more housing, more housing. So I think at all levels, we need to be building more housing. I'm excited. I think we're finally going to get those first tiny homes built. So, I think we'll be seeing something at every level. Our goal, to go back to what Jeremy said, how do we get how do we get some of those sheeted properties and begin to have different building on that? So, I think all these things will be critical to moving us out of the challenges we have with affordability. Yes.
Just Friday's homeless task force meeting. Have you had a preview of that? Connie Woodman sounded super optimistic last time, timeline-wise.
I have not, Jeremy. We're going back and forth on things. This is not our stuff. We are simply trying to find a way to facilitate people who are interested in that working with us. It has not been my goal to drive this. In fact, I think the less the city has involvement in it, probably the better. I mean, if it's driven from the ground up and the people that are actually day to day with homelessness.
And she said she had been approached by people, correct?
She's been talking to people all over. Yes, absolutely. When she got into this, she said people have reached out to her. Now I know that Lawrence stays involved with her, but that's not. I haven't gotten involved with the process. But you're welcome to talk with Lawrence if you have questions about specifics. Although I think, what they're trying to do is bring everything forward to the meeting on Friday, and then hear out and figure out what the best way to go.
Okay. I guess I was just asking, and maybe Lawrence has a preview. Are we about to see mass number of people coming forward and saying you can use this property or that property?
Yeah, that's part of the.
Lawrence, if you want to come forward here, talk here.
That's part of the process that's going on next week.
The question was, what's been coming forward. I want to be clear about, again, really all the suggestions except Lotus are really coming from the task force. The only thing I've been concerned about is that we have $450,000 for Lotus. I think that's a project that I think is going to be most successful about moving people from a temporary transitional into a permanent. And so that's the only thing I'm looking for. As far as the other things,
Have you officially carved that out?
well, that's what I've certainly asked for that, and I'll ask for the council to leave the 450, and I've certainly asked for that to be there because I believe in what Lotus has the opportunity to create for us. But outside of that, it's really driven by that. It is housing. A lot of it is housing and how you place people, but there also is some programming service in there. And so I think that's what we saw last time. I think that's what will be in here. But I think there were some questions that would everything that was proposed in the first one work with what was allowed in ARPA. So I think there's been a lot of reworking as well. I know Amy Lavoie has also been involved only in the sense of not what's a worthwhile project or not, just what projects will fit with ARPA and which ones will not fit within ARPA. So ultimately, that's going to be part of it. But Lawrence, come forward.
Right, yeah, that's true what the mayor said, because what they're going to roll out, Jeremy, on Friday is the recommendations that have come in by request from the various homeless providers, the Reach, the Waterfront, the Loaves and Fish, the Open Doors.
What they presented in council, their presentation to council.
Yeah, they're present. Yeah, that's going to be what's going to be presented to council in November.
But beyond those official allotments,
Mm-hmm.
you remember Connie said that she basically had been, she saw the face of God, right? And that she had mass number of properties come forward, and she was, it was all going to happen within I forget the time frame.
November 1st.
Fairly short.
I think she said November 13th to be exact, and then she kind of caveated that with before Thanksgiving, and all of that is really contingent upon a lot of the efforts that are going on with individuals that are working some spaces out in the county, whereby we can relocate individuals from current locations, Hollis T. William I-10, for example, right? But all that's going to come in on Friday, not only for the expenditure of the 3 meal that has been set aside, the $425 for Lotus and the other across the other programs, but part of what's being worked by the task force now, not necessarily the city, is partnering with individuals, Vinnie Webbs, for example, that has different initiatives for encampments, making with Michael Kimbrell for the management of those encampments, and all of that is coming together, culminating, so to speak, on Friday, and then to be packaged and presented to the council. Friday's important because it gives, the public an opportunity to participate in that process, which they have been able to participate all along. But Friday's kind of like the deadline for any final reworks of proposal and public comment.
Thank you. And thank you. Again, it's very well possible, Jeremy, she may have a location. I will say, she kept saying it was going to happen before Thanksgiving. I was like, I don't think it's going to happen that fast. I'm like, God built the world in 7 days, absolutely, but he didn't have to deal with government and get a permit. So if he had, it would have taken a lot longer. So I can tell you, government just is slow by nature. This is public money. So the nature by which it will flow through will take us until November to get that finalized and see what happens with council. So if that happens, then we move out of that, and we'll move into actual application. Like I said before, I talked this morning with Rick, and I said, I still feel like the date that I said, which is the end of January, which has kind of been the date we've sort of been told we got to have everything out of there, is one of those things I think we'll meet. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a good week, and we'll look forward to seeing you next Monday.